Okay, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi. How are you? I hope all of you are doing well. And a very big welcome to everyone who joining us today. It is our third days of our event, fourth Digital Summit C, and I'm Melissa Lalindu, will be a host for this event. And yeah, thank you so much for all participants who joining us yesterday and today. So we had our offline event at the first day, and it was interesting. And for yesterday and today, we do it online. So we will bring you speakers, thought leaders from the Southeast Asia regions, especially from Indonesia, to discussing about our theme for this year. It is mobile, digital, metaverse age, preparing brands for tomorrow, a significant technological shift. Okay, so before we start the session for this morning, I have to remind you, all of you, there are things to highlight for all participants. Please do not use an abusive or offensive words in the chat. And for participants, remember to poll in every session in order to get points. So don't forget to check your own leaderboard to see your score, okay? And you can interact with one another by joining the lounge, the networking lounge. So yeah, go visit there and check it out. All the feeder here in AirMeet, so you can network with one another. And there will be a panel discussion for today's event. So do use the Q&A chat to provide your question if you have any question. Okay, then. So we will start the session, the first session for today. We have speakers. Let me introduce them to you. So I'm gonna show them on the stage. Okay. All right. Hi, good morning, Pak Sakti. Good morning, Marsha.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
And
Good morning, everyone. Hi.
hi, and good morning, Ibu Irene. Okay, so we are going to talk about what it means for brands, retailers, and commerce professionals today. Mm, we have Bu Irene Winardi, Head of E-commerce, Good Doctor Indonesia, and then Marsha Morozova, Ecomm Lead, dentsu International Indonesia, and then Pak Sakti Hendra Pramudya, Senior Regional Partnership Manager C, Wikimedia Foundation Indonesia. And then we will have Pak Anthony Wonsono, Director at Berita Satu Media Holdings. Pak Anthony maybe come later. But I think we could start the session, yeah. Marsha, Pak Sakti, and Bu Irene, yeah. The space is yours.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Hello, everyone. My name is Sakti from Wikimedia Foundations. When you hear the word foundations, you're right that I am representing non-profit side of the house. So my role here is kind of, the balance in the discussions, because we are going to discuss about mostly business related one, but I want to balance it from the non-profit perspective. In these discussions, we have Marsha. Marsha, do you mind to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Marsha, and I'm an e-commerce lead in Dentsu, Indonesia. Very glad to be here with all of you today, and basically trying to be a little bit more interactive and touch upon some of the upcoming topics and trends in digital commerce, as well as hoping that Sakti gonna help us to balance all out. Thank you so much. Over
Thank
to
you.
your end.
Yes, Viren, please.
Okay, hi everyone. Hello Sakti and also Marsha. Nice to meet you guys here, and I hope our discussion will be great ahead. And actually, I'm coming from Good Doctor Technology. Currently, I'm having a role as head e-commerce, and then I've been in e-commerce industry probably for about 8 years, and then having offline industry experience about 10 years. So I hope that can be something enrich this discussion. Thank you.
You're welcome, Bu Irene. So, our topic for discussion today is very interesting because we are going to understand more how brands must assure to deliver a consistent experience through all the touch point, including partnership and recognizing the value of omni-channel. Perhaps I will start our discussion today with trends. Marsha, I think you're the expert in trends in the regions. We are entering a new age right now. Southeast Asia, metaverse is everywhere. We are going to build a more resilient digital economy. Some of the government in the regions also promoted digital economy, digital economy. But I would love to hear from you, Marsha. What's your take on this, on the trends that happenings in the region currently? Hand it
Thank you,
to you,
Sakti.
Marsha.
Great question. It's a great question. Yeah, as you mentioned, metaverse is taking over all over the world, and Southeast Asia is not the last player, a regional player around all the major companies and players in metaverse market. And basically, there are multiple touch points of new technology development around that, whether it's content, whether it's basically all around, revolves around commerce, metaverse commerce, which specifically in dentsu we started a metaverse development where we provide an opportunity for the brands to present their products and create a meaningful experience. It's very new, however, we already embark on that journey. Now, the big question currently that revolves around entire ecosystem is probably digital identity and everything that goes to it. So today, during our session, I will specifically want to talk about how digital identity is related to e-commerce, about this use, how this can be basically, how can we see the development of startups that related to digital identity across all commerce platforms. And hopefully it's going to be interesting. So thank you. Over to your end.
Yeah. So actually, what's the point? What I want to highlight regarding to the metaverse across the brand and then retailers and then to the customers. I guess this is something new that we really have to open, and then we are really have we are really have to be ready for this, because this kind of media, this kind of new things will be affect to a lot of industry, such like what we can say in entertainment. It will affect to concert, and then maybe something like related to the art things, to the fashion things, and then must be very impacted to the game game person, or game world or game industry. It will be very impacted. And then also in the working industry, like for example, if we have some meetings, of meetings or mice or event by this metaverse, it's gonna be different. It will be we can be it's easier, but also there are some pro and cons. And then also last thing, maybe some of the industry like food and hotel or travel industry probably not really can be impacted by this. So a lot of industry can be impacted, but some of maybe still need physical touch or something. I think that's the point that I want to highlight regarding to metaverse in here. Thanks.
Thank you, Irene. And we have Pak Anthony Wonsono in the call. Hi, Pak. How are you doing? Glad to have you here in the call. I think you're still on mute, sir.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time. Sorry for the slight delay.
No worries, no worries. But Anthony, do you mind to introduce yourself and to the rest of the call?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Anthony Wonsono from Berita Satu Media Holdings, an integrated media group here based in Indonesia. I am also head of partnerships and international relations at the Association for Media Cyber Indonesia, which is the Indonesian Cyber Media Association. So it's a pleasure being here with you all. The Digital Summit Southeast Asia event is definitely an exciting opportunity to meet and discuss and share ideas with all the wonderful speakers here and, of course, the audience. So looking forward to our discussions.
Thank you so much, Anthony. We just discussed about the current trends that are happening here in Southeast Asia regions. And our discussion had pivoted to the metaverse age. And we would love to hear your take on that, Anthony. You can describe it from your partnerships angle or maybe media angle, because we are talking about a new trend that's happening in the region. So perhaps if you want to share it with us, Anthony.
Sure. So for me, I think there's really two things coming up in the world today that is extremely exciting, right? One, you have the metaverse angle, but I think broader than that, the Web3 angle. Now, when you talk about the Web3 angle, you're really talking about blockchain technology, right? And the metaverse is really essentially a digital world where we can interact with people around the world and have our own experiences that is fundamentally not yet mainstream. Why I say fundamentally not yet mainstream is because I think the metaverse has actually been in existence in the world for a significant number of years, right? In the gaming industry, the concept of a metaverse, even though it did not have that label, has already existed, right? We've technically had similar concepts to it for at least 10, 12 years, right? But in this day and age now, I think the difference with what we're calling as the metaverse or we're labeling as a metaverse is how that world, that online world with significant levels of interaction can also bleed into the offline world, can also be part of an economic machine that the majority of society can also partake in easily, right? So I think that when we look at the trends surrounding the metaverse, I think we usually want to couch it, at least our group wants to couch it as a broader Web3 trend, right? Where you have issues related to, or opportunities related to cryptocurrencies, opportunities related to, tokenization, opportunities related to digital assets, smart contract, blockchain technology, and of course, all of that builds into what we're seeing today as the metaverse. And for us, we believe that metaverses in general are obviously an exciting touch point, right? For all of the consumers out there in the world, but we see that the layers, essentially the infrastructure that is required to essentially create mainstream metaverses that is adopted globally and adopted at the scale that you would need to essentially have a vibrant and sustainable community and interaction group online still will take time, right? And while that time is passing, and whilst there are so many people out there developing this technology and innovating ways in which to grow the ecosystem, I think there are still a lot of opportunities. But packaging it again more as a broader Web3 play and Web3 opportunity angle as opposed to purely from a metaverse side of it. Right. So I think that's a little bit my sense right now about the trends going on in the world with regards to metaverse.
Thank you so much, Anthony. This is very insightful, and it would lead to my maybe we can say a second question for the second discussion. When we are talking about a new platform to deliver the message, the most important thing is how consistent the message is providing across channel. It's open questions for anyone in the call. So, according to you, how we maintain the message that we want to convey to the consumer is consistent through this omni-channel world, where and also in the metaverse universe, something new that we need to cope with, that a trend that we cannot avoid it. So if there's any one of the speakers here want to respond to the questions, how to maintain the consistency of the message itself.
There are so many of those, Sakti. Like
Tell me, Marsha.
as I mentioned, allow me to jump in quickly on this one. I think the most important and one of the most complicated aspects of integrating metaverse in our daily life, specifically in relation to e-commerce, is, as I already mentioned at the beginning, but Bantoni was not there, so I'm going to repeat myself also. It's with regards to digital identity solutions. So as you might know that there are already several companies in the world. Maybe we can identify top 5 or 7 companies that providing identity solutions for various type of industries and businesses. I mean, the most common example of identity application is basically your smartphone options for opening and making payments, or giving a permission as from you to take any certain action on your applications. So currently the most integrated industry with use of digital identity solutions will be a digital banking. So digital banking already for several years actively looking into integrations, and some of the beta markets already applied internet banking with this type of solution. So basically, what it allows them to do is it serves as a guardian between financial crime and providing emergent customer experience. So as a first aspect of guarding against the financial crime, you can probably guess that the solution basically safeguard fraudulent transactions and back caching of your financial assets online. And the second one is providing emerging customer experiences that you need to have taking less actions to basically initiate a certain action or either transaction. So it works both ways, as it's improving customer experience as well as providing customers a secure way to interact with their financial applications. Now, how do we see this being integrated further in e-commerce? So e-commerce, as you might know, also really big part of payments happening basically through existing internet banking or digital wallets and so on and so forth. Now we see the shift happening in US and Canada when some of the players like Amazon already started to integrate solutions for digital identity transactions. Now it's yet to come in Southeast Asian or this part of the world. Let's put it this part of the world, because Southeast Asia, not a single region who yet to follow this trend. However, we can expect this trend is coming out coming years. So several years ahead, maybe hopefully by 2025, we're already going to be seeing more and more players basically adopting this concept. Now, talking specifically about Indonesia, as everybody know that we largely depend on marketplace players when we talk about e-commerce. different segment of and category of client. If we talk about more premium client, yes, the brand.com commerce is largely involved. However, the majority of the market, so 60 to 70% of all market is basically SME, smaller, medium players, and CPG type of brands with overall transactions lower than $15 on average, right? So it's a majority of the market, and as you might guess, we largely depend on marketplaces in this sense, because basically all the traffic goes there and all the good interesting discounts happening right there, right? Now, to see a marketplace basically adapting this as a solution to customers currently on the market is a little far out. So they will need to make sure to work in a partnership with existing banks in Indonesia, or if you see Southeast Asia. So some of the regionally present banks, larger banks, can already introduce these services in places like such as Singapore or Malaysia, with more technological advance, and then bring this technology through their channels to Indonesia or Thailand, let's say. So basically, we're talking about a series of partnerships, and what needs to happen is all the partners will need to come together to really ensure a secure way for people to transact online. And that's how we see the application, low-hanging fruit of application of this solution in e-commerce specifically. There is another aspect of this, which is basically first-party data security, and whereas I think Sakti can elaborate a little bit on that, because we can go deeper into the topic of that. But I just wanted to make sure that we can balance it out as well. So that's from my side.
And very interesting, insightful information from you, Marsha. And I would love to hear also from Bu Irene or Pa Antoni about this. Do you have anything to be add with response to how we deliver a consistent message to the channels, as well as Marsha already raised another interesting topic, which is permission, the opportunity for permission marketing, as well as digital identity, which reflects trust from the customer. Maybe we can start from Bu Irene.
Yeah, I think the additional things that I want to highlight in here to make it more consistent, there's something that we have to educate the market. They actually already see it from usually developing countries, Southeast Asia, not Singapore, yeah, but the other developing countries, always seeing from the developed countries first, and then they seeing whether they can do it here or not. So it will be great if there is some forum or community that can be part of the organization that educating about these things, about metaverse. I mean, that's making something more sustainable, or sustainable ahead for these things.
Thank you, Bu Irene. Pa Antoni?
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to omni-channel delivery of content and, let's say, communication strategies, in addition to tying it in with a consistent experience, one thing that I would add, I think, is agree fully with Marsha about the opportunities in digital identity. And I think that over time, allowing for a singular digital identity to cross multiple platforms and cross multiple experiences is going to be one of the most exciting ways in which we can track user experiences, right? That being said, obviously, there are a lot of concerns related to personal data security, privacy issues, permission issues, etc. That being said, if all those were resolved, it would be amazing, right? Can you imagine, having data points across hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users across 7, 8, 10 different platforms, 20, 30 different companies, and we're able to see what they do and how they interact across, an entire day, right? From the moment they wake up to check the weather, the moment they, open the news to see what's going on, to when they check their calendars, so on and so forth, when they interact with their friends, right? But it is extremely scary if you think about it, the opportunity that presents, but also the risk, right? But I think, because at the end of the day, the technology is technically there already, right? This is not necessarily something that is unattainable. I think the issue is, however, the security and the implementation element, which was raised by Marsha. For me, though, I think another element of omni-channel marketing is really just understanding positioning, right? I think, especially from Dentsu and a lot of our partners in the advertising world, in the creative world, I think the best of the best realizes that the basics still matter, right? Understanding where your product market fit is, what your marketing and what your positioning strategy is from a product standpoint, where you clearly want to tap into certain communities and certain demographics is still the fundamental principle of marketing. Is it omni-channel or is it through singular channels, right? And so sometimes I think some people try to also overblow the complexity of having multiple channels, right? If you want a certain age group and a certain socioeconomic status from a certain region, sometimes you don't need to do every single channel either. It might not be the most effective use of your resources, right? But at the same time, if you have a diversified demographic target for a more universal product, then simply understand each platform, each community need, and make sure that the delivery is relevant to each of the channels that you are trying to utilize, right? So I think there's one element of consistency, which is an exciting way to track experiences and track progress. But there's also an element even of going back to the basics of understanding what your product's positioning is, and then potentially even not being consistent, right? In fact, tailoring experiences across different channels, having a singular message that is presented in a single way across 5, 6 different platforms is definitely not effective, right? I think the way to do that is utilizing every different platform and every different channel's strengths, understanding where its weaknesses lie when it comes to how you can engage with your customers, and so on and so forth. So I think that might be my points when it comes to omni-channel marketing and omni-channel communication strategies, in addition to how it can be consistent and what value it is.
Thank you so much, Pak Anthony. This really interests me because I'm coming from the nonprofit world. So in this nonprofit world, trust is essential. We are a movement that based on trust. If you check Wikipedia, there's no commercial in there. There's no advertisement because we want to maintain the quality of the articles.
I still donate $10 to $20 a month
Oh
to
my God.
Wikimedia Foundation, man.
Oh,
Ever
wow,
since
Pak
6 years
Anthony.
ago.
On behalf of Wikimedia Foundation, I would like
Yeah,
to thank
I
you
love
for
it.
that. Thank you.
That's how I
Thank you,
survived
Pak Anthony.
college.
All of us, come on, all of us. Pak Anthony, maybe we can start with your opinion. In your line of work in the media, how you perceive trust from your customer. Could you elaborate more?
Yeah. Well, I think going back to your point though about regarding the Wikimedia Foundation, I think you guys have done an extraordinarily tremendous job in building trust. And for years on end, I think your ability to continuously edit, verify pages that are technically user generated, right? or user contributed at the very
Correct.
least, I
That's
think
correct.
has been astounding, and the ability to source references and so on and so forth. So, you guys are certainly a benchmark for how a user generated or user contributed platform can still develop a level of trust at such a high level, right? For us in the media, obviously, trust has been a critical issue maybe in the last 10 years, right? Indonesia is much better off than other parts of this world at the moment when it comes to trust in the media. But at the same time, we also realize that there is a risk of shifting towards biases and polarization and skewing of information, even here in this country, right? For us in the media, that is one of arguably the biggest concerns that we have today in the industry. How can people still verify content? How can people still be given and provided access to the best and the most credible content, right? I think again, as we spoke about the opportunities and risks of digital identity, the same exact thing applies to content dissemination and the sheer number of content available online, right? It is a massive opportunity. It has the massive growth potential for higher education and continuous training and exposure, but there is also a risk of you are simply fed with garbage, right? It's garbage in, garbage out, essentially, right? So I think we've been working with partners in the platform worlds, Google, Facebook, and so on, to try to understand user experiences and user habits more to make sure that they're fed the right content, right? But I think it is a concerted effort that is required from the media industry standpoint, at least, to build trust with all of our partners. Is it with foundations and CSOs, with agencies, with government officials, with government institutions, with platforms? From a media standpoint, right? I think from a brand standpoint, we've realized that trust is probably the only real leverage that you have for an extended period of time, right? So you can have a great marketing campaign, but if you lose that trust in a year or two, it's not a sustainable brand, right? The only way that you can have a sustainable brand with longevity for 20, 30, 40 years is by ensuring that trust is always there, right? I think one of our tenet brands in our group is Investor Daily. Investor Daily has been there since 2001, right? When the markets of Indonesia crashed, we built a capital markets newspaper, right? And until today, fast forward 21 years, we're still top 3 players in this world, in this specific industry, right? I think that's really because we've been able to nurture and foster trust within the financial community, and be very balanced in our reporting and in our content provision.
That's great add on. Just want to build on what Pa Anthony mentioned with regards to brand trust and building the trust around the brand. And just basically recently, as a trend of 2022, all large brands accepting and realizing and accepting the fact that the trust is going to be the biggest entity that they can get. So without the trust for brand, no amount of the efforts that been put on content creation, experience creation, advertising dollars will not going to pay off on the long run if the brand does not build in the trust. Now, what's very interesting to basically to look at as in the relation of brand trust or basically government, even the government between the people trust. So digital world comes on cross with the physical world, right? So it's a very interesting, and I really want to hear Irene's thoughts about that. I'm just gonna throw an idea and the question of what is the perception of the digitally created trust and then physical world experience, or let's say in my case, if we talk about e-commerce, experiences of after the purchase, so delivery, the safety of the product, the product so the brand and the product experience. If we talk about FMCG, whether it's quick commerce or grocery shopping or any like that, it's really come into play. But also for any other categories out there, such as automotive, electronics, fashion players. So the trust is basically universal, and it surrounds and it guides the user throughout the entire journey, right? So it's starting online, but then it basically needs to continue offline in order to have the spiral cycle on leveraging in continuous experiences, because loyalty build with the time. Yeah, so first experience, good experience build on and ensuring the second experience and the third. That's how the lifetime value is created for any brand out there. So over to Irene.
Yeah, I guess what Pak Anthony and Marsha already mentioned in this discussion, I think it's all over. Information is there, uh, and I believe that every kind of new technology will bring something pro, something that is a good benefit, and then also contra, not contra, but not negative, but something that we see what's the challenges for each kind of customer demography area. So maybe we can say that in overall is what's been explained, but then come back again to what another demographic area will be having one to another different constraint or contra. Yeah.
Well, Iran, this is very interesting because in your line of work, health in the, we can say health sector, trust
Yeah.
is everything. Do you have any thing that you want to share on how you perceive trust in your healthcare sector industry that you're engaged with?
Yeah, so if we are talking about healthcare industry, so I think all in here agree that healthcare is more related into regulation and compliances. So to do something one and another thing, there are some regulations that, for example, that we want to buy some medicine, there are something that you can buy without a receipt or from doctor. You can buy just without any consult to the doctors, and then some that have to be. So for these things, I think when we want to do the metaverse by making it one of the channel ahead, there must be some also regulation like the same that we have now in when we do have a health medicine or health tech, when we can entry by online, but there's also regulations in there. Yeah, I think hopefully there is a community or organizations that I believe that there will be can be also interfere in this metaverse technology. Yeah, because we cannot doesn't mean that we want to make a limitation or something, but I agree that in health industry there are still some regulations and compliances that have to be really stricted seen.
I agree with you, Bu Iran, because right now we're seeing metaverse is like a new directions, an untouched land, right? And oceans that's still not regulated. There's a some negative experience also we've seen in the news on how the harassment is happening in the metaverse. And I totally agree with you. When all of us coming in to the metaverse, there's it needs to be regulated. There's somehow it needs to be regulated, but again, it's still vast oceans, untouched land that we need to explore together. So, speaking of metaverse, it's very challenging, right? Right now, we're facing with the situations or in the area that we haven't deal with in 20 years ago. So I would love to know the challenge on how digital identity, because we all of us agree that digital identity is something that can be used for maintaining trust to the consumer, will pave the way to permission-based marketing opportunities in the metaverse. Maybe Marcia, you're the expert on this. You're coming from
Well,
dentsu.
not the expert, but I know a thing or two. Okay.
Please share it with us then.
So I'm not in any close of the big data scientist, just starting my education on that, but I'm going to try to explain it to you. So maybe I don't have all the answers, but I would try to explain basically how the digital identity verification works, right? So to understand where the challenge lies, the first thing you have to understand how it actually works, to being able to break it down on the components and then assess the challenges and opportunities in each and every component, right? So let's just talk about this a little bit. So how does digital identity verification work? So it's basically consists of 4 components, a make of digital verification, how the digital verification works specifically in e-commerce transactions. Because as an e-commerce specialist, sorry guys, I'm gonna talk about e-commerce today. All right. So when businesses combine those 4 components, they can verify customer digital identity to prevent fraud, accept more good orders, reduce manual reviews, and manual business outcomes, such as crashbacks or any other issues. Now, the 4 components, which are a global network of fraud and trust related signals, okay? Second one is supervised machine learning. Third one is unsupervised machine learning. And the 4th one, which combines all of this together, is advanced AI script, okay? So basically, all of the 4 have its own challenges. So let's talk about first, a global network of fraud and trusted related signals. When we talk about globalization, it's already a painful topic for everyone to basically come together and agree. I mean, we don't have to go far. Let's take European Union and their relationship with Asia currently, specifically Arab countries and their relations and trust, with European Union, and also we can take GPRP, Association of United States, and there's also tough relationships. So by far the most advanced integrated global network that we can currently conclude is probably US with EU, right? So these 2 are by far most integrated, but there is also security concerns from all parties of all the countries. So it's by itself a very big challenge, and governments of all countries will have to, NGOs, governments, world organizations will have to come together to agree on how these global network of fraud and trust related signals can be integrated in daily life. So meaning what we're looking into the next basically several years as a first stage is probably in the creation of trusted regional networks of fraud and trust related signals. So for example, we will have Southeast Asia, the countries that, with low risk exchange the data and really create one bank of a single bank of identity data, user identity data, and not being afraid of the security breach in the relations of geopolitics or whatever, other issues might occur with other countries around the world. So regional implementation first, and then when the region's gonna establish themselves and hopefully gain more trust to each other, then it can become global. Now, the opportunities here is that we really will be given a chance of compete. So the healthy competition is always a good thing when all the experts in machine learning and AI coming all together and building on this global network. So as you may know, technology may differ. Some US developers and big data scientists can have a different approach, something different from China or us in Indonesia here locally, right? So there's going to be a big an opportunity for technology companies, for startup companies, for scientists to venture into this industries and create meaningful business workplace for people, and hopefully it's going to be a success.
Thank you, Marsha. Pak Antoni or Bu Irene, maybe you want to add? Bu Irene?
So a little bit additional in here. I think all the technology already presented by Marsha, what the challenges will be, and then what the needs to be prepared if we want to do metaverse technology. Other things is, I think it's more into the limitation. Limitation here means that this is something that will impact to our self, our psychology self, because usually we live in the real world, but in metaverse we will really exchange more, most, not most, but some of our lives will be in the virtual world. So it needs to be sometimes when the reality is not as per we wish, that is usually happen in the virtual world. That can be something, this is not really extreme, but I have to tell that there will be something related to the mental health. So back then again, it's cannot, it doesn't have to be really regulation, but it's been, I think it's really needed something that can educate the market or the user of having a metaverse technology, for making them secure, and then be aware that it can be something impacted to your psychology if you use it too much. Yeah, I believe all technology are having that kind of impact if we overuse the technology then.
I agree with you, Bu Irene, because again, from our discussion about this particular topic, we see that uh, security of the users is something that we need to, pay attention with. There's some challenging. Allow me to share some of the insights from the non-profit side. We in the foundations really uphold anonymity, which is we do not allow use anyone else. We're going to protect the identity of the user itself. That's why when you check Wikipedia, sometimes you cannot find who is the actual person who write the article, something like that. But crime is happening everywhere. Some of the governments decide to regulate it in a way, and it's also become the challenge that we are trying to cope with. We haven't talked about the metaverse. We're still talking about the current situations. But in the metaverse, in the futures, I think I totally agree with you all that the security of the users are one of the most important thing that we need to consider. So maybe because of the constraint of the time, allow me to ask the last questions to all of the panelists here. Maybe we can start from Pak Antoni. Pak Antoni, from brand perspective, and you're coming from the media angle, what we need to prepare for the metaverse age, according to you, sir?
Whew. Dang, that's hard. What we need to prepare for the metaverse age, I think it's a willingness to experiment. I think it's a willingness to fail. I think it's a willingness to understand that the first time you do it, your brand might not get the same traction that you're hoping for. And then it's being willing to try it three, four, five, six more times before you get it right. And I think it's working with the right partners. Let's be honest, right? How many people really are experts in Web3 and the metaverse, especially in Indonesia? Probably not that many, right? We know a lot of the big players in that sphere, right? And I think over time it'll come down to some level of consolidation in the industry, right? You'll definitely have agencies that are able to do it. You're definitely going to have specific consulting groups that are going to be able to do it. You're going to have in-house teams from specific brands be able to do it. So I like anything. I think like any other new technology, the first step is to try. The second step is to fail. The third step is to make sure that you don't fail as bad as the first one, right? So, in my view, I love where Web3 technology and the metaverse is going. I love the fact that there are so many people interested in it. I love the fact that uh, I love the fact for me, I think that the younger generation of consumers are completely in line, and for them it's not weird or not even new at all, right? I have nieces and nephews who are, you know, 5 years old and 3 years old. They're playing Roblox, and I'm looking at it. I'm mind blown, right? I first played RuneScape maybe when I was 10 years old, and that was already a whole new world, right? Meeting people around the world, building guilds, and so on and so forth. So I think the the ones that were born in the 2000s and onwards, this is probably just normal life, right? This is not some new innovation that for them is mind blowing, right? It's a sense that you get between the difference of a digital native that has always lived in the digital era, and what you're gonna probably see is a metaverse native, right, where their entire world is has always been like this, right? So I think for me, it's an exciting new trend. It's here to stay. It's just going to take process of iteration, and it requires a lot of faith, and it requires a lot of commitment, I think. And I know that our group, our media group, our business group, and our association as well is definitely here for it, and definitely here willing to work with all the partners out there, and do what we can, right? Be curious. So yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Pak Anthony. Marsha, what we need to prepare.
Thank you, Simonia. Thank you, Pak Anthony. Also, from as a spoken face of dentsu, basically, as Pak Anthony already mentioned, there is no many players who are already adapting metaverse and three web technologies. Now, I'm proudly can represent Dentsu, who already developing their metaverse sites for brands to join and basically start a testing ground on launching their products and experiences in metaverse itself. More integration with partners such as big media players, Meta itself, as well as TikTok experiences that they also trying to look into venturing in those fields. So basically, just to let audience to know, and dear panelists, respective panelists to know that it's already starting here in Indonesia. So through our international network, we're able to bring the best specialists as well as latest experience and technology to make all the metaverse dreams come true. So looking forward to it, to work together with everyone. And thank
Will
you.
do. Will do. Thank you so much, Marsha. Wiren, what
Okay.
should we prepare?
Yeah. So actually the same that having this new technology is very exciting. And then we'll be enriched how we can connect to other world easier, faster, and then so on. Just to make sure that for some industry that it's really sensitive or needed some professional skills on it, we can balance it by have some regulations. Yeah, I think that's from me.
And to be fair, allow me to share my thought, but from again profit side of the house. So we are excited about the future. Uh, our spirit free knowledge movement is to give everyone an equal opportunity to know more, to learn more, and to obtain a trustworthy informations. Metaverse is still a challenge, not only from the non-profit side of the house, but all of us, all of us. I agree with what Pa Anthony mentioned. See, we are still facing something that not many Indonesian able to explain even. And right now, we see that as an opportunity as well to provide new experience to the users. And also the most important thing is to maintain the consistency of how we provide free knowledge to everyone through Metaverse. And maybe allow me to recap the key points from our discussions today, folks. First of all, thank you so much for all the panelists that I have in here. We learned something new, definitely, today, especially on how we prepare for the technological shift that's happening right now in the metaverse age. Consistency of our message is important. The security of our users is, is a must, is a mandatory, and we need to partner with the right uh, institutions, with the right stakeholders, whether it's government, researchers, consultancy agencies, or even other companies to deliver the best experience to our users. So we still have two minutes. Maybe I will ask our host today, Melissa. Melissa, can we take questions from audience, or what do you think? Or I just need to hand it over to you.
Yes, yes, sure. We still have time. So maybe participants have questions. So you can use the Q&A chat. Okay. How interesting, yeah. For the session, thank you, Pak Sakti, for taking a role as a moderator. Thank you so much.
In the last
Maybe
minute.
Sakti, you've done a great job.
Thank you,
it is.
Pasakti.
Thank you,
Thank you
Anthony.
so much.
And did a great job, yeah, Marsha,
Yeah.
Bu Irene, and Pak Anthony. Thank you. Okay, maybe all the participants who has questions, you can put in the networking lounge maybe, so you can reach all the speakers there. So go check it out, all the feeder here at AirMeet. So yeah, if any of you still have any question, please do join the networking lounge. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the speakers and panelists. Thank you so much, Pak Sakti, Pak Anthony, Marsha, and Bu Irene. Thank you for sharing ideas and perspective, yeah, about how brands must assure to deliver a consistent experience through all the touch points, including a partnership and how to recognizing the value of omnichannel presence to do the creative marketing and the growth of metaverse. Thank you so much. Terima kasih banyak. Sehat selalu. Stay healthy.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye, semuanya. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak. All right. For all participants, so we have our next session, and go check it out. Please do join the next session.
parallel, and it is a panel discussion of how to deliver great experiences. And there is a presentation from Miss Eliza Ko. So yeah, for all the participants, you can choose which one you want to join. All right, see you there. Bye.